Hey everyone, it's the Sith Justice Warriors coming at you with another Paddle Panel podcast with your host, Jaded Fan and Princess Lumpia.
Happy Friday. We made it.
Happy Friday, it's your two favorite ignorant gaming podcast hosts.
No,
Um,
I'm the ignorant one.
no, I'm going to be ignorant, but I did warn you that my comment would spark the war, the console warriors.
It's not even a war. It's a preference. But
To be
anyway, let's
fair,
not digress.
To be
It's a
fair,
preference.
Sony did win the final
Hmm.
war, but I think the war is evolved into something completely different.
Yep.
So before we get into the deeper dive, because we did talk about on Monday our entertainment podcast about it. Before we talk into the everyone's favorite big topic about Bethesda Microsoft, let's have a little fun. So, Lumpia, you heard something about the PS5 pre-orders?
Well, it sounds like there weren't that many, but they would be coming back with a few more additional units across the United States, as well as the UK, and I forget where else, but for the people who are waiting patiently to put their pre-order in for the PS5, there will be more coming, it sounds like. I just don't know how many for each country. That was all.
No, that's good. And Microsoft said the same thing. They were interesting. They said in their press release, I forget where, if it's an official
Yeah.
press release, they said it was a record-breaking pre-order. And
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, especially when you can pay for it in installments. But anyway.
well, that's if you go through Microsoft. But if you do even if you do the traditional GameStop, Best Buy, it actually their sites crashed, which I found
Oh
fascinating.
my gosh, I didn't know that.
So
I,
even though I made fun of PlayStation for mucking up the pre-order, notification, letting people get ready and take off or whatever, I guess Microsoft did it too but it seemed like it was more of a demand thing that crashed everyone's website. That being
yeah.
said, you guys should know that these things would be popular, right?
Hmm. You think.
You'd think, but I mean, it'll be a very interesting quote unquote war if we still have a war. But anyway, let's have a little fun because I think there's actually some L's to give out to both companies, and I'm going to start with Xbox, even though I like the Xbox ecosystem, and I'm honestly stuck in it. So
PC Master.
it looks like in everyone's rush to get an Xbox Series X, people bought Xbox One X's. um,
Because it's really that hard to distinguish the two. But honestly, I will say before you move on, it's even hard for me. I trip over it. I sometimes want to say Xbox One X, but it's not. It's Xbox Series, right?
yeah, it's
Series
the Series X, and some people,
X.
yes.
Totally
So
different, right?
yeah, and you know what's funny? Like we're so used to like a Samsung Galaxy S5, S10, Note 10. I thought we would be over that, and that was the one thing where a lot of people made fun of the naming, saying people are going to get confused. And I'm like, we have so many phones, like the iPhone SE or the iPhone Max 10. I'm just like laughing. I was like, oh, that's never going to happen. And according to this article from The Verge, yes, it did. Apparently, Xbox One, there's a tweet that says Xbox One X sales rank is up 747% on Amazon.
Crazy. It's
People bought One X's instead of Series X's, which, by the way, that means that you could still get three to five, possibly 5 years with it
That's what I'm saying.
because they're
It's not
not.
a bad deal.
I don't know what the price was, but to be honest, you might be able to get three years out of it. Um, I'm sure that it was accidental. I just find that fascinating. Actually, wow! According to this Amazon snapshot, it was selling for $405. That's expensive. Holy crap!
Yeah. So people actually they must have bought them. Is that Prime or is that a third party seller? That's
Uh,
gonna suck because
yeah.
if it's a third party seller, they're probably the ones misrepresenting, so to speak, what it could be.
Oh, you know what's worse? It says by Amazon renewed, so this is a refurb.
Oh shit.
So this
Yeah.
screenshot is a refurb, and I'm just like, ooh, yeah. I would allow. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that the idea that people would get mixed up by the name was junk, and it's a joke. Apparently, again, I don't know what
It
that means.
matters.
It's 747%,
I
but
mean, it does matter. I trip over it every time. I almost want to call it Xbox One S, but it's not. It's Xbox Series X. So,
I
yeah.
mean, I guess this is just funny to me. So, oh, it says it's okay. So the 747% figure represents the rise up the sales charts, not growth in unit sales. But still, it's still a lot. It's basically, I have to say, I have to give Xbox an L for that because that's kind of funny.
It
um,
is actually, and they're going to get a lot of return.
yeah,
But
but I'm just
either
so
way, I mean, it goes to show you that naming conventions really have a place in this world, and it's almost like you have to really take into consideration what you name your product when you launch it, because people are so, like you said, so used to a certain naming convention that when you change it, just throws off the whole ecosystem. But
well. Why do
what
you
do I
think that? But how do you think it works for phones though? Why is it that phones you don't see that? Like I'm looking at this OnePlus 8 on the side bar right here.
Mhm.
OnePlus 8, you had a OnePlus T, you have a OnePlus 8 Pro. I feel like it works
No,
for
because you
phones.
always know you're going to get a One Plus something, and the latest model is X, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But with the Xbox, like I said, I trip over it's one single word that throws it off because Series X, 1X, they all end in X. And so if you're not paying attention to the word before the X, you really could trip it up easily.
Hmm. Well, I guess Timmy's not going to get the right Xbox today. So let's flip over to an L on the Sony side. I'm sorry if I'm going to be ignorant. um, So Kotaku over here confirms that Sony confirms there is no free PS5 upgrade for PS4 Spider-Man players. So
No.
I own Spider-Man the game. So what that means is if I wanted to buy a PS5, I will not get the enhancements for free. I'm gonna have to buy a remastered if I ever wanted to play it again. By the way, it's a good game. I
I
felt
thought that it came with it. I thought that was the whole point. It was that it was going to upscale the current Spider-Man.
no. Apparently they lied. Oh, I'm sorry. Sony doesn't. We need to pay for it because
They didn't lie. You just need to pay for it.
yeah, no,
That's what they
yeah.
forgot. They
Let me
forgot to just
speak.
mention.
Let me speak in the language of the Sony folks. We're paying for a remaster, even though on Xbox you get the enhancements for free. But I guess you got to pay for greatness, right? That's what they'll always say. So I gotta say
Yeah.
that's a pretty bitter pill. If again, I'm pretty sure people who've played it, but it's kind of a bitter pill for the swallow when, let's say, okay, let's say someone bought Spider-Man for PS4, and then they buy Miles Morales DLC. Let's be real, it's a DLC now or an expansion on the PS4 because it's available on PS4. That means you have to repurchase the game if you want to have the PS5 enhancements, which is the fast loading and all that stuff. But ouch, you've got to pay for an upgrade that the other side gives for free. What do you think?
Did it even mention how much the upgrade is? I'm just
Oh,
curious.
oh,
How
seventy
much is
dollars.
what?
You got to pay $70 for.
That's
Oh
like
no, I
buying
lied.
two.
Oh wait, I lied. I
The
lied. Wait,
euros?
wait. So if you never bought the game, oh, hold on, let me read this. I could be lying here. PS4 Spider-Man owners who want to play the upgraded version of Peter Parker's game on PS5, okay, need to buy the $70 Ultimate Edition of the Miles Morales. And then things get a little strange with other Miles Morales. By purchasing Miles Morales on PS4, players gain access to the PS5 version free of charge, but for the Miles Morales. From there, a $20 paid upgrade will bump standard versions of. Oh, shit. So you still okay? Wait, this is really okay. So if I bought if I bought Miles Morales the DLC expansion on PS4, I will get the version upgrade for free. But for me to get Peter Parker's game upgraded, I have to pay $20 for it. Okay, so it's not the $70, but it's $20. Ugh,
That's
that
but that's
sucks.
just for the Peter Parker one, right?
Yeah,
Did I hear
yeah,
that
for you. Yeah, I mean, Peter Parker is the iconic one, is it not?
Yeah, no,
Actually,
okay. So it's for the Peter Parker one, but you have to pay for you have to basically rebuy the game for the Miles Morales.
yeah. So for me, right, I bought the Peter Parker one for PS4.
Okay.
I have to pay on top of the $60 I paid. I've got to pay $20 more if I've got to want that PS5 upgrade. Then I've got to pay what's it, $40? I think it's $40 or $40 for the Miles Morales. Damn, that's still expensive. Ooh, damn.
I
Think about
still
that.
think that's a lot. That's like
80
buying another game.
Yeah, and by the way, PlayStation is basically setting the standard that their games on this generation PS5 is going to be about seven. It
Wow,
looks
we're
like,
hitting the $70 mark for games. Is that what you just said?
well, I think NBA 2K was the first one to announce that they're going to 70 bucks a game, which I don't know. I wouldn't mind it if it helps. I mean, it's been a while. We've been on $60 for a while.
I guess I could see them doing like Final Fantasy for $70. Like, I mean, I could totally like for the things that are like, I guess if you will, exclusive.
Hmm,
Um, I throw out that word like it's, candy.
right.
But
Ouch. So this is my L to Sony, but let's give another L to Microsoft
yeah, just to be fair,
because
because
we don't want to be ignorant.
we don't.
Um, so if you wanted to get the SSD expansion for your Series X or S, it's going to cost you $220 for a terabyte, an additional terabyte. $220 for an external SSD storage.
Couldn't you just buy the Cyberpunk one for like
Well,
60, $80?
well, if you had a Series X, it comes with a terabyte, but you and I both know a terabyte goes by real fast.
Oh, it
It,
does, especially with games like Cyberpunk.
well, yeah, that Destiny is going to take Destiny takes 110 right now, doesn't it? 110
Yes,
gigs.
I'm feeling
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So my point is, ouch, 210. But to be fair, these things like an SSD, unless you get a deal on Newegg, these things are like 150 for that little SSD stick. That's the supposedly the fastest
Yeah, I
one.
mean if that's
Ugh.
what you need. This is where I say the choice or the preference comes in. We jokingly talk about PC Master Race.
Hmm.
If you were building your PC, I don't think you'd have this problem, would you?
No, no.
So
Well, I mean, you can buy the parts when they're on sale, which is what I sort of did because SSDs are. I'm just surprised SSD in terms of price to terabyte has not gone down. Like you could buy a 4 terabyte like for what, $70 sometimes for a
hmm
regular drive
hmm
disk drive, but SSD to get a terabyte is like the same price. I mean, no, I'm sorry, like it's like 150. It's
It's like practically half the price of the console, which is crazy.
yeah.
Uh, when you think
I
about it.
they're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to see wait like what you're gonna see is a lot of people for now because you could still take your external hard drive, your USB 3.0, and plug it in. You
Yep.
just won't get the fast speed. So I think what people will probably do is like transfer it over between the two.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, and with the cloud, like you and I both know there's probably 5 games you play currently. So that's going to be the 5 that are on your SSD, like an whatever hard, like literally that machine that you want it to run fast on. The remainder can be on the other one. And then you move
well,
it.
yep. Yeah. So I think you'll see over time that these things will go down in price, but for it's the burden of the early adopter, right?
Mhm.
220.
But you
But
know what? Some people already have that much. Like I said, it's a preference because like you might play Cyberpunk on your PC, so you may not need it. But if you're playing it on the Xbox, you're gonna have to make some hard choices.
well, Cyberpunk actually has said I have to look at it. I'll look it up, but I thought Cyberpunk requires you to have an SSD
I think it did,
on the
but
PC.
on the PC, yeah.
So, which is
I don't
fine, but it just you just need to make sure you have that. So, to be fair, as far as I know, PlayStation's is I don't even think PlayStation has an external SSD. You have to swap it out or something internally. But again, my point is that these parts are pricey. So I'm not surprised actually it's 220, but it's painful for consoles, man. Remember it was like actually remember the PlayStation 1 memory cards were they $80 at a time?
Yeah.
Oh god. Those things were $80 too.
hmm hmm
Oh man.
Yeah,
We've
and they
gone
were the
far.
proprietary. They were like proprietary memory cards. Like you couldn't just buy. Like
Anything.
eventually, you could buy a third party, but it wasn't the same.
No, it was dead. I lost a lot of files on third
Yeah, it
party.
wasn't the same. You had to have the PlayStation branded
Mm,
memory cards. You had to have for it to work properly, you had to have like the manufacturer branded card.
mm. Okay. Well, that being said, let's go into the meaty stuff. We talked
Yeah,
about it a little bit. Bethesda. Have you had some time to digest some more and had
I
any
have.
more of your
I have some
thoughts?
pros and cons to all of this in my mind. I lean towards more a pro from a business perspective, but it all depends a little bit on execution and what they want to do with this. Because, and we can talk more about it, this is a win, like from an Xbox Game Pass perspective, but what they choose to do in terms of like game launches and exclusivity is where I think they have to tread very carefully. So yes. Where do you want to start?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that game exclusivity because I was listening to people's thoughts, and I think a lot of people are under the impression that Microsoft doesn't pay 7.5 billion to make this thing a multi-plat.
Yeah.
I think I have this conspiracy theory that it's going to be exclusive in a, but it's still going to be multi-plat, but it's still going to be exclusive. I just think that it's exclusive to Game Pass, but I think
Yeah.
that Sony's going to cave in and say, "I will put Game Pass on PlayStation 5." And
Oh,
then that is
wow.
the only way you could play a Bethesda game because these games are traditionally multi-plat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, two of the games that Bethesda's coming out, Deathloop and Tokyo Ghost,
Yeah,
uh,
that one looks good.
it
The
looks
Tokyo.
good. I was actually excited about it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it on PC. Guess what? Those are timed PS5 exclusives. So my question is, I think they're gonna lock it on Game Pass and force Sony to say, hey, let Game Pass go on. I will let me put my Game Pass. I will put these games that you used to have on your system. I think what they're gonna do is that from a business perspective, you will play it through the cloud, but
Mm-hmm.
you will not get the best experience unless you buy an Xbox. And that's the way they're going to play it. That if there are people who the people that find us ignorant, they're going to forever be locked on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. They just want their cut. But if
Mm-hmm.
there are those that are kind of like open and console agnostic, they'll play it on PS5 and they'll if they want the best of the best experience,
They might play it on the Xbox. Yeah.
they'll buy a $300 Xbox Series S and just simply play it there because you can download it, get the SSD thing. That's my conspiracy theory. I That's the only way I could see it is that for 7.5 billion, I mean, but you usually want what is it? You always want your return, right? The break even to
Yeah, you
be
break even. Yeah,
you
and
want to.
like I said, I think I like what you said. I'm going to build on it
Yeah, go ahead.
because I like what you said because I don't know that I was even going that far. But my point was this: the whole purpose of this, as I sit back and think about it, the 7.5 billion, it is for Game Pass that they did this for. Um, the minute that that thing happened, I believe one of the Dooms was available on Game Pass immediately. Doom Eternal, I think it was.
Hmm.
So the whole point of this was on Game Pass. I actually like where you're going because I didn't even take it that step further. I was thinking they need to tread lightly because I agree with you. A lot of these these games, these titles, Doom, Fallout, whatever, are traditionally multi-plat. So you can't keep out the PC master race. You would hurt yourself in doing that.
Well,
But
there. Yeah.
likewise, you lose a share when you move away from the PlayStation people. I was thinking more along the lines of exclusivity in the sense of what it also could mean is similar to Final Fantasy and how Sony played that so well, is that the exclusivity could be the first year and then it launches on other platforms the following year, or the exclusivity could be the first 6 months and then it gets launched. And then to your point, the experience is different because if you use it via Game Pass route or Xbox, you probably get a horde of like different freebies that make the experience different, or you get different levels or different additional features to the game that you probably don't get. Like, think of a car, like you get your basic model or you get the souped up model that comes with everything, the navigation, all the bells and whistles, or you get a car. So maybe that's what they sell to PlayStation, the car. And if they want in on it, to your point, that's when they dangle, here's Game Pass, put it on your system, and we have a deal. I mean, that's a really great business. Like I said, it depends on how they approach this. I think it's overall a good thing. Um, as long as they know what to do with it, because I was getting excited because it was nice to have exclusive rights to something for once for Xbox and not have to explain themselves for having an exclusive. Um, and not because it's in house. No one ever says that Halo, like, no one makes a big stink about Halo being exclusive, like, but it is technically, unless you count the PC gamers. But, you know, there's a lot of people that are really sensitive about exclusive, but on their side, they're okay with exclusive. So,
Well,
whatever.
actually, you really bring on a topic, and I don't feel like pulling up these articles, but in the past, a lot of these people on these game journalists have said that because of Microsoft's PC and Xbox strategy, that Sony PS5 will win because of their exclusivity. But then, for example, and another thing was the cross gen, where Microsoft has always said we will support all of our prior consoles, which it only lasts for what 3 to 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and um, that's why Sony games will be better. But then here we are, Miles Morales is going to be on a PS5, supposedly marketed as a PS5 only game, is now a PS4 and PS5, which is fine because not
For a
everyone
price.
not everyone buys the system the first day.
No, they don't.
And my issue is that a lot of people, back to this exclusivity, they hated Microsoft for, bad exclusives. When they gain exclusives, they say Microsoft should, you know, make their games available to all platforms including Sony. But then on the flip side, they'll say Sony's exclusivity and making everyone go to PlayStation is fantastic. Did you notice that trend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said. It's like it's a one-way deal with these people, and I don't appreciate that because for those of us who prefer another platform, like it's not, and we want exclusives, like it's not fair that like one side gets what they want, but the other doesn't unless it comes with the flack. It comes with the like the comments about
Mm,
it. And that's the part that, it's like that's why I say like it's nice because, for once, like Xbox, Microsoft can actually say these are exclusive because we own the company.
mm.
And you know what? Screw you guys because we had 7.5 billion to pay for it. Screw you. Like
Yeah, and I think someone pointed out that 7.5 is more than the revenue that Sony had in a year.
which is kind of
Um,
funny.
It's like FU money. Like I wish I had FU money to that point that I could
Oh,
just
I
say,
know. I know. But I think they like I said, that was a really good investment for them from a long-term perspective for Game Pass because at the end of the day, Game Pass is around because of the licensing that they pay for the games to be available, right?
hmm
If you already own it, you own the company making it, there's no licensing fee. So whatever valuation they did took that into consideration from a long-term perspective and the titles themselves carry weight. So they'll go I mean, how long has Doom been around? You know what I mean? I'd have to look it up, but I
decades, right?
remember when I was using a Commodore, Doom like was even still around. So, um, that being said, um, I am very careful to say they need to tread very carefully in what they do next because this could be the key differentiator. This could be the thing that propels what they need to push forward. And clearly, what they need to push forward is Game Pass. That was the whole point of everything.
Yeah, well, you said it
And
what 2 weeks, a month ago that the platform they're trying to sell is not the Series X or Series S. They're trying to sell Game Pass.
which is why, honestly, I'm fine with and this is not to deter anyone who doesn't have an Xbox or like, this isn't to deter anyone. Like you said, I think you made a good point. I still have 3 years on my Xbox One X and I use Game Pass. What I am finding that I'm gonna start pushing myself to adopt and use is this Game Pass Ultimate like ability to play on my phone. Like I'm going on a trip and I don't want to bring my Xbox. Some people do.
There are people. Yeah, there
Believe
are people that
me.
do.
And I can just bring my controller and play it on my phone. Like there's actually a phone coming out that flips around that way to make it conducive for you to play. Is it an LG or is it the Samsung? But basically that flips around that looks like a TV, so like it's the long way.
Mhm.
And you can play a video game on like it's conducive to it. And yes, maybe my eyes will suffer, but hopefully like with today's technology that can be adjusted for. So either way, like I said, the possibilities are really moving me towards the positive side for them and that they did this not just as a FU in terms of exclusivity. I think that comes with this purchase. However, it should scare Sony to an extent of we can't just keep doing what we're doing and rely on like that that precedence to maintain our share and leadership in the market. I'm not discounting Sony. I'm not discounting what they're doing, but as a company, I don't know what they've brought to change gameplay and game experience. That's the piece that I give them credit. Didn't they have something like Connect in a weird way? Like
Oh,
it kind of
yeah,
kind of
let
bombed,
yeah,
but like so did Connect.
let's give Sony this. They were the first one to do disc.
They were, like I said, and they had a proprietary memory card system. Like like I said,
Great, great games,
I'm
by
not
the way, great games.
discounting what they've done. from a historical perspective. I'm discounting where they're going to
That's fair.
launch another system, and just call it a day and just accept the fact that it's going to be okay for people to pay $70 for
Oh,
that Miles Morales game and an extra $20 to upgrade Peter Parker. Like, I get it. There are people that will do that, but how long can you continue that without, I mean, my only qualm, and it just, I don't understand why they never made things backward compatible all the way back to the PS1. Um,
yeah.
like I said, and I'm not saying Xbox is a great innovator. You know who the true great innovator is? It's actually Nintendo. Um, Somehow they stay relevant. Somehow they still keep their system relevant and alive. And it's not just for the young at heart. It's not just for the youth. It's actually across all ages. And they still have that name, Nintendo, and you know what it is. You associate it to certain things like Mario, but they have innovated in a way that, like, to the Game Boy,
The
the
Switch.
the Switch.
I
I
have to
mean,
say, that is the first one to make a console, both a regular home console and a travel system, which I
like
use.
I said, we don't talk a lot about Nintendo because there isn't much to do it, but they are truly innovating. They push the boundary of where you like. They probably pushed first. Where do you play your game? What vehicles are you playing it on?
Well, you know
Like,
what? To add to that point, like I think they had this marketing blitz with the Switch, which was very impressive, where they were showing how they just go from the TV to
yep,
on the go, but then they did this rooftop party. They were at a
yep.
rooftop party, so and
See,
I was just like all these hipsters in the city are probably like, "Oh, I gotta get a Nintendo Switch because I could go to a rooftop party and play." Granted, I have a Switch. I do like it a lot. It's just I don't
there's
have a
certain it's
rooftop.
certain games, right? It's certain games
Yeah.
that you like for, like, but like I said, that's to me, that's that, and it sucks because they only come out with these innovations once in a while.
Hmm.
But that's where I think Microsoft is trying to get that space of like cloud gaming, this whole idea of paying for like Amazon just launched
Yeah.
their own cloud gaming service, right? Is it like Steam? Am I
It's
reading
called
it right?
It's called Luna, and
Uh-huh.
it's very much like what's its
Steam?
face? Stadia, Google Stadia.
Oh,
But
which was a
basically,
failed attempt. Sorry, Google.
yes, the Amazon one is any Fire Stick is just basically becomes an actively you could use it. I think you need either a specific controller, I think a Bluetooth controller or something like that. You could play whatever games you got to pay for a service, and then Ubisoft, the Division,
Mhm.
Assassin's Creed, they put their entire library in there, and you have to pay extra for it. So I think Amazon basically partnered with Ubisoft to get that sort of exclusive on their Game Passy thing, which was a disappointing bit because I would love it if on Game Pass Ultimate I could play Division on the road,
Oh my God, I
but
know.
because you and I would probably actually play that. But
Yeah.
that being said, um, hey, Microsoft knew that this was going to happen, and that great that Google messed it up. Amazon, I didn't really get to see their library, but the difference between that versus like a Sony and a Nintendo, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, his money, Google, all
Yes.
that Google dark money,
He
they
can
have
burn it. This is a
infinite
test for
cash.
him. This is a test for him. This is play money. When you want to talk about 7.5 billion, this is play money. This Amazon thing.
Yeah,
And if it fails, he's okay with it
yeah.
because it's off to launching rockets into space. So honestly, it's fine. I mean, he already got the drones to start delivering Amazon packages to people. So, like I said, this is just play money. This is just a test. This is him literally being bored and amid COVID. So I give him credit. He can burn it. He can burn all he wants.
Well, yeah, because Google has their own gaming studio. Like, so they have a first party. I don't know what they're gonna do. Same with Amazon. Amazon bought a couple of game studios. You haven't really seen them do anything. But
Mhm.
Microsoft saw that and said, okay, I think they really only had what Halo Gears and Forza, and so they just went on a buying spree, buying up to 23, and Bethesda brings them up to 23 studios. And they're
Exactly.
not they've recently said they're not going to stop acquiring, because I think what in their mind they're afraid that deep money of Google and Amazon, that deep pockets that they have, it's a war of attrition for these three.
Mm-hmm.
And because Microsoft is competing with Amazon from a server perspective,
Yep.
I think Google has servers, so it's another one. They're all competing with their servers in a business and personal perspective.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's what I'm trying to say to you. Like, this is a competition for that space. The server, I mean, the reason I personally think, and I know there have been hiccups, but the reason this has taken very long to do for Microsoft, for Google, for Amazon, for even Facebook, like, is because you need the right infrastructure. I am not an IT expert, but I know from what I work in, if you don't have the right infrastructure, everything falls apart. You could be using the best software ever, but if your cloud based computing or whatever, if that shit is not working when you need it to work, everything will fall apart. And that's what took this Game Pass Ultimate so long to get where it is today. Believe me, I know, because even Microsoft still shuts down. Like, I mean, but at least it's not as long as it used to be.
hey,
But
I like Teams. I like Teams better.
exactly. No, but I'm saying that this is the future. We all know it. This is how it's going to be. It's just really, I like I said, I give them credit for taking the initiative and pushing it forward. They have to, because this is the space that you need to find and get. Like, the people who will buy a PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo will always buy a PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. But there are people who don't know, and it just takes one explanation of how it works for them to understand and be on board. So that's what the hope is here. And that's what I think they're banking on. And I think there is a future in it. It's not like, and I feel bad because this whole Oculus thing at Facebook, they let a lot of people go. And they were working on that platform, this VR platform. If you recall, VR was so big, what, like 5 years ago? And like, we have done nothing with it. We have augmented reality, but that's not the same. But the whole VR thing on video games is gone. Like, we're not living in that world anymore. So like, that has gone and passed. So what's the next thing? And it's basically just tweaking what exists today and making it better.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, so like I said, it's exciting times. It's the key differentiator in my mind for them. The fact that they could spend this much money on Bethesda is great for Bethesda. I hope that they don't screw it up the way they did with Bungie.
Mm,
And I just, that's the only thing, and that I will give them an L for. But
yeah,
I also hope they utilize it the best way to push forward the Game Pass Ultimate agenda. That's me saying my piece.
yeah, no, let's leave it there, because and this isn't, by the way, no knock on Sony. I think Sony I'll give them credit. They bought, I forgot what it was called, Gaikai, which was the cloud streaming version of it was actually, I think, one of the first cloud streaming of games, and that's what PlayStation now tried to be. They didn't really have the infrastructure, in my mind, or the money
Yep.
to invest in an infrastructure, which is why they went and paid for a partnership with Microsoft, ironically, to use their servers. But you know what?
Let's
It's
just
actually gonna,
remember that, guys. Remember that when you tell people they're ignorant. Who
yes.
paid who for their servers?
Uh,
Anyway.
no, I think the best way to put it, though, is that it's going to be a test. It's a test case of this future thinking of Game Pass and console platform agnostic approach versus the traditional PlayStation generations, which, by the way, give them credit, PlayStation 4 beat the living crap out of what the Xbox Ones. They
Yep.
really did.
No, they really
Um,
did, and I still don't own one. I still I
no,
still
you just
don't,
stole
and
over
I'm
my
I'm
place.
alive.
Yeah,
I'm alive, guys. I mean, let me tell you, I still love the PlayStation. I still own it somewhere in my basement, my parents' basement. So
PlayStation 2 was a good system. Don't get me wrong. I just you know what the problem is that eventually life caught up with me that I could have a bajillion PlayStation 2 and 3 games and 4 games and I just won't have the time to play it. I think that's
exactly.
what I think that's the reality, but it's a lot that's the reality of a lot of people are going through where despite these times that keep us indoors where we have jobs that just take up 40 hours plus of our lives, right? That being said, hope you enjoyed the podcast. We made fun of the console wars, but honestly, I think the normal casual people are just kind of looking at this and just saying these are exciting times, and we want to see where who's the right direction, the traditional way or the cloud gaming agnostic way that Microsoft is doing. With that said, I hope you like the content. Please like, comment, and subscribe. For those subscribing, please hit the bell to be notified of future content. Also, please reach out to us at our Twitter handle at Justice Sith. We also go on podcasts, so you'll see an upload of those within a day or two if you prefer to listen to us there. And we'll hope to see you on the Sith side. See you then.
Bye.